Hey everyone, welcome back to Fanservice. We're in the middle of our great month of September. We're doing nothing but the future is now talk.
That's true, and today we're talking to you about the future of surveillance society.
Now, when you say surveillance society, I'm thinking in like a Minority Report where everywhere you go, they scan your eye and you get custom stuff and they can track you wherever you want.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool, but also frighteningly bad that I think it's cool because that's just dangerous.
You know, it's fascinating to me that Big Brother started off as a very warning dystopian novel, and a lot of people look at it these days and go, you know, that's not a bad idea. Not as far as the ruling class part, but as far as having the technology everywhere. Here's my answer to that. David Brin's book, The Transparent Society, which I am going to pull tons of arguments from. I apologize for misphrasing any of them, David Brin. But his take on it is we have two options. We can either have all of the surveillance, because we're going to have the surveillance no matter what.
Yeah.
So we can either have it all in the hands of the government and corporations and private companies where you don't know how it's being used, or we can just put it out there in the cloud that anybody can access. And so if you've got the exact same situation going on, let's say you have me as a woman walking by myself at night. If it's a situation where only the government can see things, and they can see ATM cameras and surveillance cameras that are on the street and the cameras that are in a parking lot and stuff along those lines, then no one's going to stop me from being attacked. They'll just be able to go after the fact and
look,
say,
there it is.
Look, yep, there's proof she was telling the truth. If, on the other hand, I, as someone who's walking down that street, could get out my cell phone and look at all those cameras and go, oh shit, somebody's following me, wouldn't that be great? And then be able to just notify my friends or 911
Would you
or whoever.
seriously be walking down the road looking at your phone with the camera?
Everyone's walking down the road looking at their phones these days. Who is not walking down the road looking at their phones
They're
these
looking
days?
at texts and emails. They're not looking at cameras around them. Don't you think they'd be a little disorientating?
You're saying that because you're a guy. You're saying that because you're a guy. As a man, you can walk down the street and not have to worry about people following you, but so many times with women, as you're walking down the street, what you're actually doing is not texting, or if you're texting your friends, or you're doing something to make it look like people notice you exist to reduce the chances of being attacked.
So do you think, you just said you think it's safer for that to kind of be in the public knowledge?
100%.
I think it'd be safer if it were behind like a private security knowledge because like you said.
What are you trying to hide with it?
Not trying to hide anything with it, but if you have like, let's say the local police are watching and monitoring it, they can notice it. Like a private sector thing, because you also said ATM cameras, things like that.
I think that you should be able to tap into all of it, yeah.
When you put it out there for the public, then you start getting the hackers and the other people who can sneak in.
But they're doing that now. There's nothing to stop a hacker from getting into an ATM camera today.
Yeah.
If you have all that,
but
here's the thing.
They have to work for it.
If it's transparent, they'll have to work for it no matter what. I mean,
if you leave it more open source, quote unquote, for anybody to watch, like you could be on your phone watching this.
Oh my goodness. That is not the thing that affects whether or not something is hackable. That is not it at all.
Okay, well, so my argument is invalid. I will admit that.
For me, it's a safety concern. We're going to have all the surveillance around us anyway. If we're going to have it, why not have it something that anybody can access? I think a lot of the fears are, oh no, if anybody can see me, then they'll see me throwing up outside that bar. Okay, anybody with a cell phone saw you throwing up outside that bar too.
See, I'm thinking more bigger goals. If anybody can do it, just because you can doesn't mean you should. You need to put it in the hands of somebody that's more responsible than the government and way more responsible than just the average Joe on the side of the street.
And who would that be? Monsanto?
Monsanto, no. Like, you would create companies that would watch areas.
Oh, because really, companies are totally trustworthy. Like British Petroleum,
like
they were the
ADT,
best possible people.
a security company whose job is to watch the monitors and look for things happening so they can, oh, look, there it is. Well, they can tap a number and, call you because they already know your phone's there. Hey, there's someone behind you.
Here's the thing. I feel like all of those security companies, as of now, are just fearmongers. They're not really doing anything to protect you. It's all about taking people that are already in a secluded community and in a wealthy neighborhood and making them fear their possible neighbors. What I'm talking about is if it's out in the public everywhere, then someone that lives here on the east end of Louisville, I've lived in a lot of cities. The east side,
Louisville today.
The east side of Austin, which is allegedly where the crime takes place, you would feel a lot safer going there and coming from there. Yes, there would be less crime as far as people doing some potentially bad things that could be watched, but there would also be less risk of things happening. If you know someone's watching you all the time, then...
But you don't know someone's watching you all the time. Just because it's public doesn't mean someone's watching it.
That's true. That's why you should be able to tap in.
So you're just walking around and you connect to start watching cameras around you. Go, oh, wow, I really don't look good in this outfit. Or, hey, yeah. You just, what becomes the point where you say enough is enough, I'm not going to live in this fear?
To me, if you have that as an option, that eliminates the fear. Because you're not The point isn't to have you so paranoid that you're staring into your phone all the time. Oh no, is there someone behind me? The point is, if you're going about your daily business and you hear something, you're like, wait, is that dude following me? Then be able to tap in and go, oh shit, he actually is following me. This is a problem.
Yeah, so do you think it would actually deter crime, though? Because if someone wants to do something, they're going to do it no matter what. They rob banks with security.
Here's the thing. The reason I think it would deter, and it depends on the type of crime you're talking about. Money crimes, not as much, because yeah, people will just literally rip an ATM out of a wall, take it out, empty it, and dump it in a river. Like rivers are covered, the bottom of rivers in ripped off ATMs.
They're now
personal,
fish homes.
Personal crimes, though, I feel safer walking down the street at 2 a.m. on a Thursday in New York City than I do at 7 p.m. in Austin, Texas. Because there are so many people around you in New York that no one's going to mess with you.
Or no one's going to notice.
Having actually lived in New York for a while, seriously, it is so much like I felt much safer going anywhere. It's not that no one's going to notice, it's that if you come up and start hassling me on the street, it is annoying people across the sidewalk because they don't want to hear me scream, and they will tell you to cut it out.
So what's the big difference here at 7 o'clock?
Here at 7 o'clock, there are not as many people. Someone can get you alone very easily.
Well, we do have a lot of creepy homeless people downtown.
It's not just creepy homeless people. It's also creepy frat boys, and I hate to say it, but like creepy guys in the tech sector. It's a very bro type of culture with things along those lines. And so if you're in a position where someone knows that people commit fewer crimes when they know that they're likely to be caught. That is a deterrent by itself. Murder and crimes of passion are not affected by that. But as far as muggings, no one's going to walk in here and mug us on camera. Please don't, to prove a point.
We don't really have much.
Because they know people are watching. Most of those type of crimes, there's a reason why they say don't go down a dark alley.
Well, you're just dumb if you walk down a dark alley. You're asking for a problem.
And the point is, see, exactly, that's what people say. But as a woman walking by herself, a dark alley is any street that is not full of other people that are there as a witness. If I want to park anywhere downtown and it's off of a side street because everything it's my fault for having parked there. Or heaven forbid, if I park in a parking garage, how dare you go into a parking garage? Don't you know they're unsafe? This is just a fact of everyday life. But if you've got that surveillance everywhere, if you know that people can watch you, if, for example, you're a woman who's nervous about going out by herself, you can actually ask your boyfriends or other girlfriends or whatever to just have the cameras on with their, and you can call them and be like, hey, anybody in here? Am I cool? Yes? Okay. That would be so reassuring. But what is the negative to it? What is the bad part of that? Tell me.
Just because someone, okay, let me try to phrase this right.
Yeah,
okay.
please.
So, yes, it would be a crime deterrent, but then you'd get a whole new rise of criminals who are wanting that thrill. Who, like, you see it on Facebook when they were doing that whole beat people down.
That was a media phenomenon. That was not that was invented by the media to try and scare people who watch the nightly news, and they created that phenomenon from scratch.
But what's to stop that phenomenon from being created because of this society? Then you start getting these crazy people who want to be seen on camera, so that gets them their fame, and that gets them whatever. That gets them their notoriety.
That's the same principle as saying, why don't we have more serial killers?
Well, we may have more serial killers, we don't know.
But you're saying that, like, why don't we have, I hate getting into something like this, but like school shootings, those have risen in popularity because you get on the news. Do you really think, though, that your average person is looking to commit a crime like that? I actually don't. I can understand where you're coming from with the argument that anything that gets people attention will make people do that behavior. After all, what is reality television other than that? I don't think, though, that it's going to make people want to break the social contract to the point of injuring people in a way that will actually result in them going to prison.
Maybe so. So, digital surveillance
security.
Future.
What do you guys think about our pros and cons arguments on the surveillance future? I am very curious to hear. I realize that mine are quite gendered, and I would love to hear from some other women that are watching Fanboy TV. What do you think about the pros and cons of it?
So stay tuned. We'll be back with some more Future Is Now talk all this September month. I can't talk. You've got me so flustered thinking about people out there trying to do bad things. All September, we're talking Future Is Now right here on Fanservice. We'll see you next time.